Hey, Tiger fans. Mark Fitzpatrick, Tiger Club of Kansas City. It's Tuesday, October 14th, Westport Flea Market. First-time speaker today, Dion Clisso from KC Preps. Dion, thanks for coming out. You know your stuff about high school football.
Well, thanks. As a journalist, I'm not usually supposed to logo up, but I do logo up for this event.
We're glad you did.
Yes, so, as a Tiger, I wanted to make sure I showed up for that. Thanks for having me. It was a great event and a lot of great questions, and I hope I answered them all. That everybody got a chance to.
I think you covered them all. You did a great job. Okay, so we're getting to the near playoff time.
Yeah.
Kansas City high school football. Tell us about some of the teams, players we should be watching down the stretch here.
Well, let's start in Class 6. You got Blue Springs South, Blue Springs. They're in a district together. You got Lee Summit North and North Kansas City. They're in a district together. Blue Springs South, Aiden Wilhelm, their starting quarterback, is a Rice commit. He's really done a great job for them. They've suffered through some injuries in the running back spot. He's a dangerous player. They've got a great receiver in Gary Hill. Darius Morgan, their tailback's a really good player. They've been dominant last week, 42-3 at halftime over an undefeated Liberty team. So they're a team, and then Liberty's in a district with Park Hill. And Park Hill's a team that can play. Has a chance to play well. Their schedule's lined up to where they were win one, lose one, win one, lose one. That's another district there. So it'll be interesting because the Blue Springs and Blue Springs South, they go a different direction in Class 6, and the other Kansas City schools are on the other side of the bracket. So who knows? The state championships are in St. Joe for the first time, which we're very happy about. Maybe that would happen there. In Class 5, in Missouri side, you got Platte County and Rockhurst in the same district.
Yeah.
Along with a Fort Osage and a St. Pius X, a Winnetonka team that's playing its best football in years. And so I think that the state champion is coming out of that district. So whoever wins that district is probably going to be really in that spot. And then you go to Class 4, you got Kearney. They've lost one game in the last 3 years to Lutheran North, who beat them in the semis last year. They're probably one of the favorites, but they've got to get through a team like Savannah. That's really good. And you've got teams there. In Class 3, we're not as strong as we've been. And same with Class 2 and Class 1. But no, on the Missouri side, it's going to be a great playoff run here, especially these last 2 weeks as teams are kind of jockeying for position, and then we go into the brackets.
How about Kansas side?
Kansas side, 6A is wide open all across the state. I do the rank. I vote in the rankings over there with kpreps.com. They're a great partner of ours. And the guy who runs that, and every time I would say, I think so-and-so is the team to beat, they get beat. So I'm done talking about that. There's probably 5 or 6 teams, if not more, in 6A in Kansas, in the Sunflower League and the EKL, that could win a state title because Manhattan is not as good as they've been. Derby is not as good as they've been on that other side. Mays is pretty good. And then 5A, you've got St. Thomas Aquinas, the defending champion. You've got St. James team that's playing really well. You've got Blue Valley who's playing really well. So DeSoto, a Leavenworth team that's 5-1 for the first time since 1973. That was a little nugget that dropped out last week when they beat DeSoto. So it's pretty wide open. Same with 4A. Miege is the team that went last year with a losing record to the state championship game. They may be in that situation again this year, but Eudore's a better team this year. Ottawa's a better team. Tonganoxie. So the Kansas playoffs, 5 is probably where the most depth of really good team is. 6 is where it's going to be wide open and anybody can get it. And 4 is going to be, can somebody knock off Miege again?
Back to the Missouri side, you talk about 6A, you talk about Blue Springs South and everything. How do they compare on the St. Louis side? You've got CBC, I think you have ranked number 1.
Yeah.
SLU's pretty good. They're undefeated.
Well, and they'll play here in a couple weeks. So I think that we'll find out about those 2 teams right there. There'll be a good marker. And then Rock plays SLU as well. CBC and SLU play this week. Rock and SLU play the next week.
Right.
So we get it's nice. We get a lot of head-to-heads in these last few weeks, which really helps to kind of see where teams are at. You talk to the St. Louis guys, they love CBC. Yeah. And then they're going to be – the CBC is a good team with a lot of talent, but they're undisciplined at times, and they can have a lot of penalties and shoot themselves in the foot. And a team like a Blue Springs South that doesn't make a lot of penalties, with the exception of the crew that worked the game last week, they're a physical team, and they're tough. And their speed is one of the things I think is highly underrated by them, because when they played Lee Summit North a couple weeks ago and beat them 37-7, they matched Lee Summit North speed, and we all know that Lee Summit North has that great speed. Blue Springs is another team that's got a lot of athletes and speed, and I talked about their outstanding defensive lineman, Ron L. Johnson, who is as impressive as anybody in the Metro. So that's kind of where that goes, and I think the Liberties and the Lee Summit North would probably match up. That's the big question, and of course Nixa, that's in the same side of the bracket. Right. Blue Springs South is on the Nixa side. CBC is on the Lee Summit North Kansas City Liberty side. So it's it changes every year. So you got to kind of like reframe your brain.
So you've been doing this for 15 years because you've been covering high school sports for years.
Yeah, more than 30.
How do you look at the current state of football in Kansas City area compared to past years?
Well, we've had some great runs where, I mean, I can remember going down to the Dome and winning 4, Kansas City winning 4, 5, and 6, and actually had Class 3 in their hands, and and some years it's like that. I think it's a pretty good year. I think when Rockhurst is good and Blue Springs South, those traditional programs are good. I think it's the teams that have been good in their wake the last few years makes it even more depth, because you've got Lee Summit North, you've got Liberty, you've got Liberty North that's in there. The Liberty North won a state title a couple years ago. So I think that the overall depth is better than it was maybe even the years that Blue Springs South and Rockhurst were just trading off spots in the state championship game. So in Class 5, you saw Platte County dominate last year. They've had a chance to do that. And then Kearney 2 years ago won a state title, and played Luther North, who won it all right down to the end. So I think that in 4, 5, and 6, the bigger classes, it's pretty good. And you go down to Class 1, Adrian's a little further south, but that's still a team that's Metro-esque. They won a state title last year. East Buchanan had won a state title, and North Platte made it into a state championship game in those smaller classes. Mid Buchanan, Fawcett just south of St. Joe. Those schools are also making deep runs, and Odessa has always been good, and they look like they could be really good again this year, even though they're up in Class 4. Warrensburg, as you get into the more surrounding areas, there's good. I think there's good depth, and this year we've got some top end teams in Platte County and Blue Springs South and Kearney.
Talk about your routine on a weekend and how much film do you get to watch of various teams?
We usually get about video from about 8 to 9 games every week, and we get our guys go out and shoot highlights, and we also get them with 41. So I get to see all of those games, and then like I said when we were talking to the thing, everybody's got a stream. Most of them aren't behind a paywall, which is a good thing. And so a lot of times on a Friday night, I'm diving into a game and checking that out. And then on the weekends, I'll go back and look at some stuff. And if I'm looking for nuggets for some of the features we do, I'll go and check out how those teams did. And I'll give hats off to some of the production crews that are out there. Some of these schools and some of these guys that are doing website production are fantastic. It's as good as you'll see watching Pitt State or on TV on Saturday. I mean, and so you can jump into a game and watch what you want to watch and jump out. And it's a hodgepodge every week. I'm grabbing different things from different people. It's whatever's kind of catching my eye. And so that's where, I'm looking to see, how dominant they were on the offensive line and that kind of stuff, and just what plays are made. And we saw a play 2 weeks ago, Wyatt Denny from Blue Springs South on the SportsCenter Top 10 with a one-handed play. And that was Matt Foster from Channel 41 who shot that video, had that angle. I'll make sure I give Matt credit. A good dude. And that was a great shot. And no, it really, the technology we have is great. You don't have to leave your house and be able to watch a lot of great high school football, which I don't really get out of my house until the playoffs a lot of times. Yeah. And sometimes on Thursday nights, though having a 15-year-old son who's doing activities, that eats up a lot of time. But no, it's great to be able to sit behind a computer screen or TV and watch games and do that. And then when playoff time comes, I like to get on the sidelines of as many games. And yes, Misha, thank God, state championships are in St. Joe. Yeah. I can go to state championship games and sleep in my own bed.
I want to tell our viewers, so you're on with Stephen St. John on 810
on Friday morning.
You have your Friday night preview show, 4 to 6 on 1510.
1510 and 94.5.
And then tell us about your podcast.
Snap Tackle Pod with Mick Shaffer. It's on our YouTube channel. Usually every Tuesday or Wednesday when we get to it, we've got 30 minutes of that. You can find that link on PrepsKC.com. Our PrepsKC YouTube channel has got all our videos on it. So yeah, we've got a ton. We do 100,000 views a month on our YouTube.
It's PrepsKC.com.
PrepsKC.com. Yeah.
Last question: best team in the Metro.
I'm gonna lean towards Blue Springs South, and I'm gonna get it called a homer because that's where my son goes. But I think they've got the size up front. But man, I would love to just stop everything right now and let Platte County and Blue Springs South go up to Arrowhead for a night to play football. Yeah. That would draw a good crowd.
It would, yeah. Dion, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Great stuff. This man knows high school football inside out in the Metro. Our speaker next week will be former Mizzou wide receiver Barrett Banister at the Westport Flea Market. Hey, for information on upcoming speakers, membership, and events, go to kctigerclub.com.